So our agenda of this afternoon session is a short introduction about V-Robotics, a much longer introduction on the Flying Labs network, hearing what the Flying Labs are about, what Flying Labs do, how Flying Labs are set up, then moving into why joining the Flying Labs network, and also hearing from Flying Labs members directly. So we have Valerie from Jamaica Flying Labs and Tiam from Senegal Flying Labs with us. Then moving into understanding a bit more around the key requirements to join the network and the application process, to then leave space for your potential questions. If you have questions along the way, please feel free to write your questions in the Q&A part of your Zoom application at any time, and we can come back to them at the end. And with that, I'm very happy to hand over to my colleague, Mfan, who will start telling you a bit more about the Flying Labs network first. Mfan, all over to you.
Thank you, Sonia, for the opening remarks. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining from. My name is Mfan Udechukwu, and I work as community coordinator at V-Robotics, mostly supporting Flying Labs in Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean. For today's information session, I also have here with me my colleagues Jill, Elsa, and Dan, who will ensure that everything runs smoothly. So to begin our presentation, I will take you through the Flying Labs network. Next slide, please. You must have heard about the Flying Labs network through our post and maybe our website. So what really is the Flying Labs network? It's a global network of independent knowledge hubs hosted by local organizations. The Flying Labs has grown from 3 countries in 2026 to 40 countries. And as a result, this has also increased their impact. They have worked closely with community leaders, government organizations, also local civil aviation authority to implement projects in humanitarian health, humanitarian aid, health, environment, development sector, agriculture, and many other areas. So this is, in a nutshell, what the Flying Labs network is about, is a global network of drone professionals implementing projects using drones, AI, and robotics to accelerate the Sustainable Development Goals. Next slide, please. What do Flying Labs do? Maybe I have touched on it earlier, but we can go deeper into it. The Flying Labs as a brand is a social organization as such. Much of our work has to address at least one of the Sustainable Development Goals. So the work of the Flying Labs is to accelerate positive impact of their work within their communities. For us as an organization, and even for the Flying Labs, you might find this on our website too. The priority is on amplifying local expertise, on also letting people know that the expertise exists within countries, and these people are also very much capable to implement projects within their communities. So much of the Flying Labs work has to align with the Sustainable Development Goals, and this also has to this also covers a broad sector, as I mentioned earlier: humanitarian aid, education, environment. Flying Labs also strengthen local capacity by providing trainings to students, to professionals, for example, drone certification program trainings, and also even to government professionals. To an extent, drone still relatively is a new technology that people are still learning about. So yeah, the trainings also helps to broaden the knowledge and also accelerate skills. So Flying Labs also implements sustainable projects within their communities, contributing to learnings across the network. And they do this by sharing their work, maybe through webinars, through blog posts, through use cases, which we will talk about as we go down in our presentation. And also, it is also important to note that Flying Labs have the liberty to decide on which work they choose to focus on. They are independent companies, so they can choose what they want to focus on in terms of project. Next slide, please. On the question of how Flying Labs are set up, which is something a request we get quite often, in line with our localization model, Flying Labs are very independent, self-financed companies hosted by existing organizations. What this means is that if you have a local company in your country, for example, Malawi, you can apply to join the Flying Labs network. And joining the Flying Labs network does not mean that you lose your independence or your sovereignty. It actually, in fact, amplifies your power. So Flying Labs are very much independent, and they could be for-profit organizations or non-profit organization. It really just depends on their status locally. We do not have an influence on that. So this independence allows them to decide what activities they choose to focus on. And some Flying Labs have strong expertise in agriculture, for example, while others have strong expertise in drone certification training. It's a personal decision. And also sometimes two organizations can come together to set up a Flying Lab as well. And this is this happens possibly in countries where we have large population. Two organizations can come together to host one license. And maybe at this point, I can mention that every country has one license, meaning that if you are from Kenya, we have an existing Flying Lab in Kenya. You cannot apply to join the Flying Labs network because there is already an existing Flying Lab there. What you can do is partner directly with the Flying Labs in the country already. And also, one of the things we look out in terms of setup is that the Flying Labs coordinator has to be based in the country of the proposed Flying Labs application. So if you are based in Ethiopia, for example, and applying to have a Flying Lab in Malawi, and you spend like 80% of the time in Ethiopia, we may not be able to approve your application. We always recommend that the lead coordinator has to be based in the country for at least 70% of the time. Next slide, please. Trainings and projects. You might have already seen the Flying Labs website. If not, I will put a link here in the chat for you to have a look and see some of the projects Flying Labs have carried out. We are very, very pleased with the work the Flying Labs have done over the years. And it's almost impossible to pick out a favorite project. But as you can see on the screen, we have about 182 use cases covering a very broad sector, from agriculture to youth training to professional training, climate change, disaster response, humanitarian aid, and even beyond these ones listed here. We have a very rich use case directory, and all of this highlights the work that Flying Labs have done in the last couple of years. And also, Flying Labs also have a strong focus on STEM program. As you can see, 162 STEM activities have been organized alongside use cases published as well. There's a strong focus on educating the younger generation, equipping them with the skills necessary to take on the future responsibility. So there is a strong focus for Flying Labs to also carry out STEM projects. Again, all of this is just locally led, and many people always find this as a very, very interesting point to start on in terms of building their portfolio of training youth, and it's actually very much also in demand. In addition, Flying Labs have carried out 206 projects, again, in agriculture, different sectors, and sometimes projects are also carried out together with We Robotics as well. Next slide, please. You must have heard We Robotics a few times while I was speaking. So now we can now talk about We Robotics. What is We Robotics, or who is We Robotics, or who are the people behind We Robotics? Basically myself, my colleagues here, and some of us who might not be on this call are the people behind We Robotics. We Robotics is a non-profit organization legally registered in the US and Switzerland. Our goal is to amplify the power of local expertise. So we are the co-facilitator of the Flying Labs network. We do this together with the Flying Labs. So We Robotics facilitates the Flying Labs network. If you write an email to the Flying Labs and you see a reply and the email address says at We Robotics, it's not fraud, it's us. We are the ones responding and then passing your request to the Flying Labs network. So that is our role. Our core focus is on leveraging local experts to also amplify the SDGs as well. Next slide, please. And now the role of We Robotics in detail. So, as I mentioned earlier, we co-create and co-facilitate the network. The job of facilitating the network is actually a shared responsibility. It's not just for We Robotics. That is also why we have two Flying Labs here on this call as well to talk about the network. So we do this together with the Flying Labs. We make decisions together with the Flying Labs. We have evolved the network in the last couple of years together with the Flying Labs. We actually rely heavily on the feedback and contributions of the Flying Lab to be able to facilitate the network. And we also provide capacity strengthening programs, trainings in the form of in-person training with support to Flying Labs members. This has happened a few times, for example, in Zambia, and many times virtually. And sometimes we carry out this kind of trainings with our partners as well. And again, our focus is on sustainability. So we also find ways to provide resources and avenues to ensure that Flying Labs are sustainable beyond the launch. So we also provide opportunity transfer. We speak with organizations quite often, both locally and internationally. And as the need arises, we transfer these opportunities directly to Flying Labs. In essence, if an opportunity comes in for Malawi Flying Labs, I tend to use Malawi a lot. So if you're from Malawi and you're listening, you should apply to host Malawi Flying Labs. So if an opportunity comes in for Malawi Flying Labs, we're not going to transfer it to Zambia, we're going to transfer it to Malawi Flying Labs. And this is also what we do. And in cases where we do not have a Flying Lab in the country, we may look around for neighboring countries, again, also on expertise and available human capacity to be able to carry out this project. Flying Labs also is the knowledge exchange space. So many Flying Labs get to interact with each other, get to learn from each other, and sometimes this knowledge exchange happens behind the scenes. Senegal Flying Labs, for example, could be working closely with Cote d'Ivoire Flying Labs, even without our knowledge. So We Robotics basically has provided this initial connection, and Flying Labs just continues in terms of communicating, exchanging information, and working together. And we also have a network model which we have documented our experience on how we have been able to put together or bring together expertise from many countries to be able to work together. This model continues to be reviewed and improved upon based on the feedback and information we receive from the Flying Labs. I hope this provides you with good information or overview of We Robotics. Thank you. Next slide. The next slide is for my colleague Jill, who will take you through why you should join the network. Thank you.
Thanks, Mfon, and thanks everyone for joining today. I am Gilles, one of the program and community coordinators at We Robotics, supporting the network of Flying Labs on a daily basis and working more on the Asia side. So in this document being projected, you can see why organizations decide to join the network of the Flying Labs. In essence, it is our value proposition, what the network has to offer. What we would say is that first and foremost, the network is really designed for organizations that really strongly believe in the values of sharing and collaboration that you can see on the far right. Sharing of your expertise, sharing learnings, participating in the creation of joint resources, collaborating on projects, both at the regional and global level. And then if you look at the left on connections, the beauty of a network is really that you can make many connections with other more than 300 experts, members of the network. They're drone pilots, data analysts, engineers, researchers, entrepreneurs, academics, and so on. And the network also opens the door to an ecosystem of technology and other organizational partners. And yeah, you can create new partnerships. Being part of the Flying Labs network will also increase your visibility and provide both local and international visibility and recognition through the brand, its reputation. And at We Robotics, there's a team of dedicated storytelling communication experts that will help promote your good work, improve your blog post, help create social media, co-create magnificent impact videos and stories that you can share to drive getting more opportunities as well. Talking about opportunities, being part of the network will open doors to collaborating directly with other Flying Labs, as Mfon mentioned, building more partnerships, taking a very active role in advancing your country's drone ecosystem and regulations, and building good relationships with the CAA. We've done a number of projects on that lately as well. Easier access to funding through the brand recognition. And finally, We Robotics will also share opportunities with you as well, leveraging their contacts, their partners. We run microgrants internally, but just please note that the goal of joining the network shouldn't be to get funding. It should really be on sharing and collaboration and sharing of expertise, but we also support on that end. And now I'm passing the microphone over to Elsa that will discuss technology and knowledge as well.
Thanks, Jill. Hi, everyone. My name is Elsa, and I work as the Civil Aviation Authority engagement and policy regulation person. I have had a wonderful time getting to work on regulations and policies with different Flying Labs and through the network. But today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the technology and the partnerships that we get to have together as a network. So being a part of the Flying Lab network unlocks access to our global network of various partners, including a number of technology companies. These partnerships allow Flying Labs to benefit from various collaborative opportunities and are free or heavily discounted access to technology for social good projects. So various webinars and other technical events are usually a part of that access. Another huge benefit of being a part of the network is access to an internal base of resources on various relevant topics, from technical to business development to fundraising and so on and so forth. We pay a lot of attention to knowledge sharing among the network members, organizing retreats, online and in-person training sessions, or grouping our collective expertise together in focused sector expertise hubs. So that involves technical expertise hubs, and as well as we have a CAA expertise hub, just to name a few. The members of the Flying Lab network support each other with certification training as well. And you'll also get access to internal exclusive programs that have been carefully curated by We Robotics and the Flying Labs Network. So we really focus on technical capacity strengthening and technical capacity sharing as well throughout the network. So that's a little bit about the technology side, and I'll hand it back over to Mfon.
Thank you very much, Elsa. Next slide, please. And we would like for you to also hear directly from existing Flying Labs. I have here Valerie for Jamaica Flying Labs. Hi, Valerie, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you, Mfon. Hi.
Thank you very much, Valerie. Could you please tell us what motivated you to join the Flying Labs network?
Oh, wow. So I was actually attending a meeting sometime back in Fiji, and I saw the Pacific Flying Labs at a conference while there, while we were doing our training in Fiji, some work with UNDP. And so I was curious about what this network was all about because I saw all the great work they were doing. And so, of course, I reached out to We Robotics on returning back to the Caribbean and tried to get some more information. And when I understood what the vision was, it really just clicked with me and it aligned perfectly with what we would want to do, because it really just got to the heart of empowering local communities. And so that was my motivation. I love the fact that the emphasis was on the power of local, really just empowering communities to help themselves, and then access to a global network in order to do that, as well as the value of collaboration. I've always maintained that it's so important for us to collaborate, to innovate. And so within that network, not only are we collaborating locally with other local partners, but we also get a chance to collaborate with a global network. So for me, it was a no-brainer to want to join the network and to establish Jamaica Flying Labs.
Thank you very much, Valerie. Valerie is the director of Jamaica Flying Labs, and Jamaica Flying Labs is hosted by Geotech Vision. They've carried out lots of impactful projects on STEM and also mapping as well. Up next, we have Thiam, the director of Senegal Flying Labs. Hi, Thiam, can you hear me?
Hi, Mfon. Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Could you please share with us one key highlight since joining the network?
You said one. If it is one, then I will go for sustainability. The word sustainability. This is a network. One of the reasons why I was very fascinated and interested in joining the network after reading much more about the network online was really about the sustainability. Having come from international development organization where I've worked with many NGOs and many funding agencies across the globe, I have learned and noticed that, sorry to say this, most of that model was not sustainable because it doesn't take into account the local expertise. It doesn't take into account what happened when these fundings end, when these opportunities or projects end. And this is where the Flying Lab Network have a difference. The difference is so clear. I'm sitting from Senegal today talking to you. I don't receive instructions from anyone, but I am so passionate about contributing to what is happening globally within my network. We joined this network because we believe that we need to meet others across the south of the globe to share what we are facing as challenges, local and regional challenges, and also learn from our colleagues the different challenges they are facing, and together find solution on how we want to, using the lessons learned to continue building our local communities and supporting our stakeholders. So if I would say one word, I would say sustainability. And today, as you probably might notice, we are contributing and doing so much, and I have not seen that I know you cannot cover everything in your presentation when you were presenting what Flying Lab have been doing locally and what We Robotics is bringing around the table for us. So we cannot put it all here. Yeah. When I saw the figures, I was like, you should have actually add plus to each figure you put there, because we do more than that. Our presence alone make our stakeholders to feel comfortable, to feel safe, because they know we know our environment much more better than anyone, and we are here to stay. So next time you do your presentation, always add plus to the end of each of the figures you put together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. Fully noted. We will add plus actually, because you do so much amazing work within your countries. Thank you very much. To the next slide, please. I think Jill will take over to take you through the key requirements to be a part of the network.
Great, thanks. And thanks very much, Valerie and Tiam, for your testimonials as well. Very much appreciated. So on this slide, you see the requirements to be part of the network. So it's kind of divided in two. It covers what Flying Labs have to do on an annual basis, year to year, to be part of the network. But then if we focus on the bottom right and the other requirements, that focuses on joining the network as well, and the requirements to join the network. So I may add again, and that's something that Mfon already discussed, that it is open for any kind of organization to host a Flying Labs. It can be academia, a not-for-profit, companies, etc. As long as you want to focus on social good projects using drones and data and AI, and so on. So what you have to do when you want to apply is to demonstrate that your organization already has a track record in the application of drones, AI, and or robotics, when applying. You also should identify key partners for your Flying Labs that you may already have or that you want to build over time. And then very importantly, commit that by joining, you will follow the Drone Code of Conduct, which you can find on the We Robotics resources page, as well as the Flying Labs and network guidelines that Mfon will say a few words about. And that one is very obvious, and I see Elsa nodding. Abide by all the relevant local, national, and international laws and regulations. And then also contribute to the Flying Labs Fund annually. So that's a first payment upon joining, and then every calendar year as well. It ranges between $500 and $750 US, depending on the type of your organization. And on the Flying Labs Fund, just note that all of the annual contributions go directly to a separate fund, which is called the Flying Labs Fund, and that it all goes right back to all the Flying Labs in the form of microgrants, subsidized travels, discounted software and training, retreats, and more. Also, the Flying Labs network is primarily designed for organizations based in the Global South. That said, depending on your expertise and desire to share and collaborate, we're also open to discussing. If you're in the Global North, we had some Global North organization join the network in the past as well, and a lot of opportunity for partnerships. I may just repeat quickly again something that that Mfon mentioned. There's one Flying Labs per country, but there's a great opportunity for collaboration. So if you're independent or a student or drone pilot or another organization, feel free to contact these Flying Labs. If you have special expertise beyond drones and robotics as well in applied fields such as agriculture, disaster management, health, development, and so on, I'm sure that Flying Labs would be very open to partnering as well. And now very quickly, a very quick summary. So once you are approved and you join and your Flying Labs is up and running, we ask that every year you meet some requirements, which I'll just provide a very quick summary. It is completing 3 activities per year, which can be projects, training, events, and these can be co-branded with your host organization as well. Then sharing information about these activities and impact, so we can report on that as well. Participating in some webinars and events, basically communicating about all the good work that you're doing. And same on the communication, publish 2 blog posts and 1 use case per year. Obviously, you're welcome to do more. But yeah, then overall, just really collaborate through online sessions, retreats, and contribute to discussions with your expertise. Thank you very much, and back to you, Mfon.
Thank you very much, Joe. Next slide, please. So if you have visited our website and you've gotten to the point that says how to start your own Flying Labs, it means that you're very much interested in being a part of the network. Congratulations. So first of all, we accept applications on a rolling basis, meaning that you can send in an application at any time of the year. We only ask that you review, first of all, the Flying Labs guidelines, which has full information of what is required of Flying Labs every year, and also what we provide back in return. Another information you'll find there is on co-branding. Co-branding is also a big part of the network. So reviewing the Flying Labs guidelines thoroughly helps you to understand more about the network before you begin your application. And you'll also find there the key requirements, which my colleague has just talked about, but maybe having this document right in front of you and reading it carefully also gives you a better understanding. We are working on making sure that this document is available in French and Spanish. So you'll find this also on our website if you're from a French or Spanish speaking country. We also recommend you read the value proposition. So once you have read these 3 key documents and are okay with the terms listed there, then you can begin your application. Once your application has been received by us, we will begin the process of reviewing and evaluating the application. It takes around 1 to 3 months to complete this process, and the process involves having a strategy call with a team member of We Robotics to ensure that the strategy is aligned. Sometimes, not all the times, we get applications from people or requests, and for them, maybe because of the name We Robotics, it sells itself as a drone giving company or something. So we want to ensure that on the strategy side, the applicant is fully aware of what you get out of the network and what you contribute in return. And we also have a technical discussion. The drone and data team will have this discussion with you to learn about your project, some of the projects you've already carried out, and also your team's expertise. And after these 2 calls have been completed, you will now be transferred to a Flying Lab, an existing Flying Lab in your region, to also have a discussion. So if you are applying from West Africa, you will likely be speaking with Senegal Flying Labs. If you're applying from the Caribbean, you will likely be speaking with Jamaica Flying Lab. The goal of this call is for you to now speak directly and possibly maybe freely to a Flying Lab. You may also have questions to ask during this call, so it also provides you an opportunity to speak with us and also raise questions. And if necessary, we may have a follow-up call to clarify 1 or 2 elements. Sometimes not necessary, other times we may need this call. So this is basically what an application process looks like in summary for applicants. Next slide, please. And finally, once your application has been approved, first of all, congratulations, it was worth it. We begin the process of onboarding you, and this starts almost immediately and involves the payment of a license fee, which Jill mentioned earlier. The license fee is paid yearly, and depending on the legal status of the organization, if it is for profit, you pay $500. If it is for profit, you pay $750. If it is not for profit, you pay $500. And once this fee has been paid, we sign an agreement. Then we begin the creation of a Flying Labs webpage for you. I will share the link to our website so you can see every Flying Lab has its own unique webpage. And the content is also tailored to their focus. So this is also something we have to work together to create. And it takes around 2 months to finalize this. We also provide personalized email accounts to Flying Labs for external communications with partners. We then grant you access to our internal knowledge platform for you to maybe review resources, begin your learning journey, essentially. And also you have access to our internal communication platform. There you can also reach out to other Flying Labs colleagues. And if you're not approved, it's not bad news, it is good news in a way. We will share feedback with you on why your application was not approved. And we always welcome second-time application. 90% of the time, second-time applications are always approved. But yeah, and this is because of the feedback we shared earlier. So it's not really you're not losing if you get this feedback. It's more for you to go back and strap your boots and get back to work to increase your expertise. Come back and apply to us, and we'll be more than happy to approve your application and integrate you into the network. And maybe one thing to mention, once you're in the network, we understand that it can be overwhelming navigating the different aspects and communicating with people. So our team, we are always available to support you. We will definitely support you through the first 3 months or 4 months, as much time as you need to efficiently integrate you into the network and allow you to get settled. So yeah, you always have us, count on us to support you. That's a short summary of our presentation. And I think now we can have the floor open for questions and answers. Comments, anything you would like to share with us. Thank you very much.